What's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing a what's next on Mairis Breidis, the former three-time Cruiserweight Champion of the world, as he failed an attempt to become a four-time Cruiserweight Champ, as he lost a hard-fought decision against Jai Opetaia in their rematch, as he was challenging for the Vacant IBF title on the Ring of Fire Fury Usyk undercard that took place on May 18th. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, you know, Mairis Breidis, I love that guy. I'm just such a big fan of him. 39 years old. He's getting beat majority of the fight, but not really badly hurt. He could have just cashed it all in. I'm done. He wakes up finally after a 2-year layoff in the later rounds, lands a big punch that hurts Opetaia, and kind of sweeps those last few rounds and makes Opetaia go, you know, basically on his bike trying to survive, and just really made a great account for himself. You got to wonder if he would have come back and taken a tune-up bout, or a couple of them, you know, before the Opetaia rematch, man, would he have been sharper, more on point? 39 years old to fight like that against a 27-year-old, very legitimate fighter in Jai Opetaia. Just a fantastic showing. He has not made any announcements of retirement, and to be honest, I don't think he should after the way he just fought. Right now, Breidis, I think he should make one more run at something. And the first idea I'm going to throw out there is the possibility of moving up to heavyweight finally. Breidis always said he wanted to move to heavyweight, but there just weren't the options in terms of the promotions. And Breidis moving up, you know, it was a tall order to ask if he couldn't move in and kind of get the fights that he wants. Right now, Turkey a la Sheik with Riyadh season is just on fire, having heavyweight fights happen. Maybe this is his time. Maybe this is Breidis' time to get more on the tongue of everybody. And with his style and his power, I wouldn't rule it out that he could be, you know, successful at heavyweight. So I'm just floating that idea as a possibility. I'm going to run through the top 10 cruiserweights real quick, just to kind of float the option for Breidis if he returns to the division that he had all his career success. Because I think at 39, he's still very, very good and could have success here at cruiserweight. So we'll see. Let's start with Jai Opetaia in a third fight. I don't see a third fight happening. The first two fights have been very similar. Opetaia wins convincingly, but Breidis shows a great account of himself in both fights. I think Opetaia is going to move on from Breidis. But you know, I guess there's an outside option, but I honestly don't see it happening. There's WBC champion Noel Gavor, or Miguelian, whatever you want to call him. I don't see this one taking place. Not to say that it couldn't take place. I'm just leaning towards the less likely, because I think it's more, you know, he's not a big name, awkward style. It's actually a rematch for Breidis of a fight that he should have lost back in the World Boxing Super Series years ago. That could be good, that could be bad. So I think Breidis could take it to try to win a world title. And actually the WBC belt was his first world title that he won. Or he could be like, nah, that was too tough of a matchup. I think he could do either option, to be honest. And I think he could get the fight. So I'm going to float it. I'm leaning towards the less likely, but I do think it is possible. Then there's Chris Smith, the WBO champion. It depends on if Smith beats Richard Riakporhe, and then if Smith wants to fight Opetaia in December. I think that's more likely. But I don't know if Smith beats Riakporhe. I think that's a 50-50 fight, to be honest. We we got to wait to see what happens on June 15th. But it's one of those fights where I wouldn't be surprised if Breidis ended up fighting Bill Smith if he's victorious, and if Bill Smith doesn't fight Opetaia in December. Then there's Badou Jack, the veteran. I wouldn't be surprised if these two guys locked horns, but the fact that there wouldn't be a title on the line, I think matters to both fighters. I think Breidis would want it to be for a title, and I think Jack would especially want it to be for a title, because Jack really picks and chooses when he wants to fight. I do think it's a good matchup, though, especially for two older guys to get in there and go at it, but I'm leaning towards the less likely there. Then you got Richard Riakporhe. It's the same thing as Bill Smith. If Riakporhe beats Bill Smith in their rematch and becomes WBO champion, I think his first option is to go after Opetaia in December. But because that's on it would be on such a huge card on the Fury Usyk undercard in their rematch. But if for some reason he doesn't, I could see Riakporhe wanting to defend against the former champ in Mairis Breidis. Absolutely. Breidis would have to want that fight, but I do think it's possible. Then you got Lawrence Okoli. Not likely. He's moving up to Cruiserweight, and I just think it'd be a bad matchup for Breidis anyways. Then you got Junior Dorticos in what would be a rematch. I'm not seeing it because there's no title on the line. Dorticos is actually in line to fight for the WBA belt next. So even though Dorticos would probably want that revenge, I don't think he would pick revenge over a title fight next. So I don't see a rematch there. Then there's Gilberto Ramirez, the new WBA champion. I really think Ramirez is either going to make his mandatory against Junior Dorticos, or he's going to be in line to fight Opetaia in July. I mean, in December on the Fury Usyk undercard. So waiting to see what happens with that. But I do think those are the two main options for Gilberto Ramirez. Not to say that he wouldn't want to fight a guy like Breidis, but and to be honest, if for some reason Dorticos couldn't happen and the WBA allowed another exception, you know, I do think maybe Breidis would be an option, but I just think because Dorticos been waiting around for his mandatory for a while, I don't think he'd allow, and the WBA would allow that exception to take place. Then there's Mateusz Masternak. You know, wouldn't be a bad option in a return bout for Breidis, just to kind of shake off the cobwebs and get a little more fine-tuned before he takes another serious run. But I'm leaning towards the less likely. Then other guys, I don't see Rosicki, I don't see Siaslak, but Siaslak is kind of in that Mateusz Masternak area where I could see the fight taking place. But I don't think it's likely. Tabisu Mashunu's kind of in that same mix as well. I don't see Mike Perez or Yamil Peralta. Firat Arslan, I don't see. Alexei Igorgov, Marcus Brown, maybes. Joe Smith Jr., definite maybe, because Joe Smith is a former light heavyweight champ that might just want to fight name fighters, and Breidis has a name. And then that's, you know, Arsen Goulamirian, a former champ. So for Breidis, I think he's going to pick and choose if he returns to Cruiserweight, what he wants to do and when he wants to do it. And I think he'll have a little bit of pull. But I really think he should consider moving to heavyweight and going after a big fight on one of the big cards and just seeing how things play out. And if he loses, nobody would have expected anything, and he'll make a big payday. And if he wins, boom, locks up another big payday. So we'll see. But that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on former 3-time Cruiserweight champion of the world, Mairis Breidis, following his tough but hard-fought decision loss to Jai Opetaia in their rematch as he challenged for the vacant IBF Cruiserweight title. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.